Hey guys, so here is another video review. This time I've got the STX X10 to review for you. This head costs $90. It's relatively new, so it's relatively expensive. Weighs in at 5.1 ounces, which is pretty light considering how stiff and heavy it is. And it is an X-Spec head, so it's legal for college and high school. And I believe they still make an X caliber for just high school, but they don't have an X6 version. So if you're in college, you're really limited to the X, which is going to be a lot wider. But this is one of the first heads that I've seen, and one of the only heads I've ever seen that's specifically geared toward defensemen, and the X caliber always has been. And so it's extremely rigid. It's the stiffest head that I've ever felt. I can't even really move it just by gripping it. With a lot of heads like the Superpower, it's extremely flexy, which would be better for a midfielder or a face-off guy probably, but this head is unreasonably stiff, and you can see it's got a lot of connectors through the sidewall, which helps it maintain its stiffness. And it at 5.1 ounces, which is pretty light, it weighs just as much as an Evo 3. I was pretty surprised at how stiff it was for the weight. Because it is geared toward defensemen, it's pretty wide the whole way up the head. It's not pinched or anything, which defensemen don't really need since they're only going to be clearing and not handling the ball that much. The offset is relatively gradual. It's got what STX calls its forward cant offset, which I guess is a little less aggressive and a little more less aggressively offset. And for those who don't know, offset it helps in the way you cradle and the feel, and adds a little bit of whip sometimes. The sidewall holes, there are plenty of them. There's not a whole lot like a clutch or a vision, but there's plenty to string a defenseman's head, which usually doesn't need to be all that whippy or all that channeled or all that defined. You can probably string a pretty perfect head for a defenseman with it. Just for comparison's sake, I've got the last generation X caliber here to compare it to. You can see it's got pretty much the same shape, and this one's legal for only high school, and it's literally got identical sidewall, identical scoop. I couldn't tell a difference if you were to change the way the stopper is. You can see it's got that little outset stopper thing like the Proton Powers and Superpowers do, but if you give me them and hadn't told me, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. And you can probably pick up an Excalibur, the last version, for a lot cheaper than you can the X10. The only difference is the X10 is legal for high school as well as college, so you're going to meet that 3-inch requirement on the inside here. But if you're a high school player, I would strongly recommend picking up the older Excalibur before you pick up an X10, unless you're going to college soon, or if you just play rec, because it's going to be a lot cheaper. But if you're a college defenseman, as far as defense goes, this is the head, the only head I would recommend, besides maybe a Revolution. But for defensemen, this is the head to get. Check back regularly for more video reviews. Visit www.eastcoastdies.com if you want to order anything, and make sure to like us on Facebook.